degrees, and us Minnesotans prepare our winter gear for the season and start complaining the second the temperature drops below 60. That's right. It's fall, y'all. Which means it's time for spooky season, where this podcast still whines about women you haven't heard of from history. But this time, some of them you may not want to hear about.
Dun, dun, dun.
So strap in and strap on, because this is Whining About Herstory, the women's history podcast where two longtime besties with breasties whine about women from history that you probably haven't heard of. And in this season, maybe don't want to. I'm Kelly.
I'm Emily. And welcome, ghosts and ghoulies. I do love the strap and strap on, because it's like, it
just
could be
comes
like
back randomly.
Well, it could be like strap into an electric chair, strap into a straitjacket,
Exactly.
strap on
a strap on.
Yeah, strap on that razor dildo from Seven. No, please don't. God, no one needed that.
No one needed that.
I'm sorry, whoever came up with that needs to be investigated.
Yes.
Do we look into them? Did we make sure?
Hope so. Did we make sure that they were okay?
Did we do some background checks?
I don't think they were okay.
Like I obviously creative writing and your like who you are as a person can be very, very separate. But did we check in on that person?
And their like loved ones and or ex-partners.
Did we check out their backyard? Did they install any new patios recently that, maybe we should check under?
Should just, radar up.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for joining us for spooky season. This is my favorite month of the year. My favorite season of the year.
Yep.
And I cannot wait. I want to get
excited.
I want to get all my spooky on. I want to do all my fun fall shit. I want to go to every Halloween event because I need this. Because you know what comes after Halloween? Thanksgiving and Christmas and winter bullshit. And then it never ends. It never ends.
And then we don't get not winter bullshit until like March.
And then I was going to say, and even then, it's still really bad, okay?
Oh, yeah.
It's not until end of May, early June. Actually, I'm going to say early June that we can reliably be like, the weather is nice now. So it's going to be like almost a fucking year until we can, say the weather's nice. But in the meantime, Kelly, what are we drinking today?
We are drinking a wine we picked for fall, so we are on task.
It's fall, y'all.
It's called Firebrand. It's a spiced red blend, and it says, Firebrand Spiced Red Blend is a special holiday treat that is handcrafted according to old world tradition. This special blend features a delicious combination of full-bodied wine sweetened and spiced with apple, cinnamon, vanilla, oak, and citrus. Serve at room temperature. Good. We're doing that.
Yep.
You could also heat it up and deserve it hot. But it says Happy Holidays from Firebrand, and we're taking that as the spooky holidays.
Oh, definitely. That thing is dripping with
it's
fall
just like
imagery.
Dark red. It's beautiful.
It is excellent. Cheers
To fall.
to fall and spooky season, motherfuckers. Yeah. When the veil is extra thin. Oh, we're gonna have a weird clink right now.
You can clink with the bottle if you want.
I was gonna say,
since my glass is plastic.
Kelly has her plastic fucking patriarchy glass. I have one of our glass glasses here.
Nice clink.
All right,
with the bottle.
Holy fuck, this is excellent.
It's so good.
Oh my
I
God.
saw spiced wine on the sign when we were at the wine store, and I was like, well, this is coming home with us.
Yes. Oh God, yes. Ah. Oh, I would let this wine do unspeakable things to me, Kelly.
I know.
And I would thank it after.
Yeah, it's delicious. I want to get a little bit of cork.
Yes, that's okay. Hold on. I got it. I'm not above sticking my fingers in my wine and picking shit out.
Why not? Yeah, it's so good.
It tastes like fall. I'm so happy. I'm so excited.
I know it says holidays, and I'm now that I look at it, I could see it being Christmas, but I'm like, it's fall to me.
You know what? I do love a versatile wine. It can be any holiday.
That is true.
Unless you're Jehovah's Witness, they do not celebrate holidays.
It's true.
In which case, this is the Antichrist of wine. This is the Antichrist of wine.
If you're a Jehovah's Witness, do not recommend this wine.
I
probably don't really recommend this podcast either. But
if you're a Jehovah's Witness listening to this podcast, you dirty bitch, we love you.
Are you okay?
You dirty little sinner. You also didn't get raptured, huh? I actually didn't learn. I didn't learn the rapture was supposed to happen. And did you hear everyone was like, oh my God, the rapture is going to be, I think it was like Thursday or something.
Again.
I know.
I remember when we were probably in college, but like there was actually like a day that we were supposed to be raptured and people made like the joke and just put like piles of clothes around and was like, oh, I was raptured.
Yep. I remember 2012. We lived through that. There were all
we
the like end of the world parties.
1999 where they Y2K.
Yep. It's funny because I remember I was a kid. I was like, what, 8? We were 8? Yeah.
Yeah. No, we would have been 9.
No, because we were born in 1991.
Oh, yeah. Well, I meant 2000. We would have been 9. But yeah, we would have been
At
8.
the time of Y2K, we would have been 8. I just remember everyone like freaking out about Y2K
like
and
hoarding
saying
water
it. And I didn't get it. I'm like, what do you mean the numbers on the computer can't change?
Yeah,
we made the computer. We just make the... none of it made sense to me.
What was interesting is like they didn't think it was like the rapture. They just thought technology was going to stop working. So they thought like planes were going to crash and the stock market was going to crash. And it's interesting because like I know more about technology now and I understand why they thought that would happen. But yeah, it's like, guys, like, yeah, we made this. Like it'll be okay.
Yeah.
If it crashes, we can probably fix it.
Yeah, and here's the thing. It's like, not that I trust things that people make, but my understanding of it at the time was people didn't think that the numbers for the dates were going to be able to transfer from 1999 to 2000 because it was never meant to have a 2. That was my understanding as an 8-year-old. And I'm like...
Yeah, I think I understood it a little bit more than that,
like,
but
guys,
it was still just like...
It's counting.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. I also didn't get the big deal about the millennium. And like looking back, I was like, oh, wow, like that was a cool New Year's to live through. Too bad I didn't give a shit because I didn't understand the significance because I was 8.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, it's just another New Year. I don't know why everyone's getting extra excited about this.
Yeah. But now it's like, now you can be.
Now I'm like, oh, yeah, that was awesome. And then we got to enjoy the millennial for like a year and a half. Mm-hmm. And then, everything came crashing down around us. And we were like, oh, no, we're adults in the worst way possible now.
Yay.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Kelly, I am kicking off spooky season for us.
I actually remembered for once. I'm very proud of you.
I am taking control of this episode and my life. Okay, for just like this episode.
Seconds,
Never my life. Because here's the thing. The second I try to take control of my life, then I am responsible for everything bad that happens. If I just keep my life like out of control, things are just happening to me.
Exactly.
I'm not responsible. Yeah, I'm just a passenger. I'm just a passenger on the crazy train that is me. So today I am whining about Mary Ann Hall, Madam on the Mall.
Ooh.
Speaking of early 2000s culture.
Yeah.
Not that kind of mall, but still.
I figured it wasn't that kind of mall, but I was like, I'm sure she'll get into it.
So this is another woman that I learned about when I went to DC and went to Congressional Cemetery, which is, again, my new favorite place in the world. I'm obsessed with their merch shop. They have so many stickers. Well, and it's so cool because they turned a cemetery into a community center. And it's like cool. Very LGBTQ plus friendly. It's just like, it's a garden, it's a community space. It's not just for the dead, it's for the living. And they have a pet cemetery in it. And the graves, like, they're really sad, but they're also really cute. And like, it's like, oh, Rufus, and, you know, like all the pet names. And it's really precious. And they have like bee boxes. And so this is super cool. So this is a woman that was, I can't remember if she was on the sheet of famous people buried there that you can pick up at the entrance and find, or if
too famous for our podcast, Emily.
Yeah. Or if Caitlin, friend of the podcast and owner and founder of A Tour of Her Own, the first and only women's history exclusive tour company in DC, check them out.
Awesome.
She recommended Congressional Cemetery. I can't remember. She recommended this woman. When I did tell her I was covering her, she got very excited. So this is just one in a series of love letters that I will continue writing to Caitlin through this podcast.
Well, and the cemetery.
Yes. Caitlin and the cemetery. I stan all of it. So also huge shout out to an article by Matt Blitz from the
Smitsmote.
I have had 2 sips of wine.
I know. I was like, you have no excuse.
I have to. Actually, being sober is my excuse. I'm a much better speaker when I'm buzzed.
We had some samples at Total Wine.
Oh, Jeff was the best.
Yeah, he was.
Bless this
Shout
Jeff.
out Jeff.
Bless this Jeff. So Matt Blitz from Smithsonian Magazine, which was my primary source. It was very comprehensive and very well done. So thank you very much.
Good job, Matt.
Washington, D.C., home of our nation's capital, a place where laws are argued and passed, but just 4 blocks away from that tit-domed building was a far less lawful place. From 1840 to 1878, 349 Maryland Avenue Southwest was one of the city's most infamous or popular, depending on your persuasion.
So infamous or famous, depending.
Brothels.
Ooh.
The multi-story brick house wasn't some seedy sex shack. It was a beautifully decorated house where the champagne was always flowing, reflecting on the elite clientele.
It was a fancy one.
Yep. Presiding over the grandest little whorehouse in D.C. was Madame Mary Ann Hall.
I love your reference. That's
I
one
know.
of my favorite movies.
I know, and I wrote that for you. This is also, actually, everything I do is a love letter to you, Kelly, a little bit.
At least on the podcast.
Yep. So Mary Ann Hall was born sometime in general between 1850 and 1818, give or take a year. We don't really know.
History.
She was never married, so we don't have that as like a historical record for her to go off of.
That sucks.
So she was born in Washington as one of 9 children. I assume it's the Washington, D.C. area. Not much is actually known about her early life, but it can be assumed that her family was not well off.
Oh.
Because Mary Ann turned to one of the only professions available to women at the time: sex work.
Yeah.
Nurses, actually at this time,
Teachers, maybe.
yeah.
Being a mother.
Yeah.
Sex work.
Yep. So during a time when women's financial success and security was solely dependent on marrying a man, unmarried women and widows were in an unsustainable position. While there were jobs such as factory work or sewing available, these jobs paid little, even less for women than men.
Yep.
So,
Like, if they could get them.
yeah. So sex work was way more lucrative for women than any other profession. What the fuck is happening? Hold on. Give me 30 seconds. I'm going to slam some of this wine and we're going to be okay. Yeah. This is a spiced wine, so it's not very slammable.
I bet it's delicious.
But it's very good. It's just that spice. It's not like a Moscato where I could chug a whole bottle in 2 seconds and be like, what wine?
It's okay.
So sex work was way more lucrative for women than any other profession, but it was also much more dangerous. Many sex workers died from disease, violence, or unintended pregnancy after only a few years. So it was kind of that...
This is damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of.
Big, fast money, huge risk. Like huge risk, huge reward. So... Mary, however, found financial success in sex work, and by her early 20s, she earned enough money to buy a lot along the canal in August of 1839.
Damn, Mary.
Though this is a hot piece of real estate today, located on the Smithsonian Mall, at the time, it was a hot piece of garbage. The swampy,
much like me.
I almost wish I could go back in time and buy these like super cheap plots of land where it's like everyone's like, this is absolute trash. And I'm like, I know this is where the Washington Monument's going to go. Everyone suck my dick. Actually, at this time, the Washington Monument's already there, but you know what I mean. So the swampy, overgrown piece of land didn't look like much, but Mary had plans. Mm-hmm. She built a large brick house that was 3 stories tall. And Mary got to work, and by the early 1840s, she had employed 5 white women under 30 years old and 1 quote-unquote free colored woman who was between 24 and 36 years old.
Hell yeah.
So, Kelly, if you go into my notes, you are going to find a photo of the Capitol. And in the background is the Washington Monument.
Yep.
And
recognize that. Yep.
To the... let's see, the left of the... if you scroll down one more, you'll see a zoom in of where the Washington Monument is, and you're going to see where Mary's house is.
Oh, nice.
So in this early illustration of our country's capital, Mary Ann Hall's house is present.
Right there. Yeah,
smack dab between the Washington Monument. And then I think that's the Smithsonian Library, that big orange building, because it's still there today, and the Capitol, so... In 1840, D.C. was home to around 23,000 people. Over the next 10 years, the population doubled. The population boom brought with it, I know I said population boom and I'm not going back, brought with it overcrowding, competition for jobs, poverty, and vice. Bawdy houses, as they were called, which I love, proliferated across D.C., offering gambling, opium drinking, and of course... sex. Bam, bam, bam. Haven't been trying, baby. Get my dick wet for so long. So Mary's neighborhood, nicknamed the Island because of the city canal bordering it, was home to a small working class housing and its fair share of bawdy houses. However, the lackluster surroundings only made Mary's glamorous business shine more brightly.
Ooh.
The house was furnished with European carpets, dramatic oil paintings, and plush parlor furniture. Guests enjoyed meals of wild birds, beef, pork, turtle, and exotic fruits and nuts off of elegant porcelain dishes. Hoots and hollers and the clinking of glasses filled with French champagne filled the halls. Sign me up. That sounds amazing. I want to eat a bird. I want to eat a wild bird off of a porcelain dish while sipping French champagne and hooting and hollering on plush parlor furniture. Unfortunately, there is no surviving record of who patronized this bumpin' bawdy house, but based on the sophisticated accoutrement, it can be assumed that the clientele were equally polished. It was also known as the Congressman's whorehouse. There may be general assumptions and connections we can make with the evidence we have. Allow yourself to imagine the politicians, dignitaries, socialites, and other fancy folks who likely graced the doorways of Mary Ann Hall's establishment. By 1850, the brothel had grown, and even Mary's younger sister, Elizabeth Lizzie Hall, joined its ranks. But with sex work being illegal, the ladies who worked at the brothel were listed as substitutes on the 1850 census. Substitute what?
Substitute girlfriends, wives, sex partners.
Like teachers? My PhD has my pussy has a PhD in pussy hump dick. What? No. I can come up with something better than that. So by 1860, Mary's real estate, which included a summer house in Arlington, Virginia, was estimated to be worth over $18,000, which is like $700,000 today. So rich. So she's making money off of her bawdy house. She's buying real estate. She actually expands her property on the National Mall, and then she also has the summer house in Arlington, Virginia. And around this time, the Metropolitan Police were cracking down on vice crimes. An order issued in 1862 stated that all, quote, Public prostitutes and all persons who lead a lewd and lascivious life, unquote, should be arrested.
Okay.
Colloquially known as the buzzkill law. Mary may have had some protection considering that she undoubtedly served some very powerful clients. The last thing that they wanted was to get caught up in a scandal. However, that also meant that none of them would come to Mary's rescue if she got into legal trouble. Like bailing her out or coming to her legal defense was incriminating yourself. A list of bawdy houses was published by the Provost Marshal's Office, which listed 85 establishments and ranked them by classes of 1, 2, and 3, and low, with 1 being the most egregious and the number of inmates working there. So like 1 is like, oh my God, this is like a really infamous bawdy house. Like it's going crazy. Mary Ann Hall's establishment was rated as a 1 with 18 quote unquote inmates, which I'm like, they're substitutes, they're inmates, like they're just women trying to make a living, okay? And as a society, you have given them 0 other real options, so go fuck yourself. The brothel was raided on January 18th, 1864, and Mary was indicted for, quote, keeping a bawdy house and disorderly conduct. The Evening Star reported on the raid, calling, quote, Mary Ann Hall, keeper of the old and well-established ranch on Maryland Avenue. Mary Ann Hall arrived at the police station, quote, in a suit of virtuous black, which I think is the first time I've ever heard, like, a suit of black being associated with virtue. But, of course, they also have to comment on what she's wearing, what she looks like, and, quote, in company with her sister, Lizzie Hall. Mary Ann Hall's trial was well attended by men. Wonder why? Witnesses, mostly police officers, testified to their multiple visits over several years to the congressman's whorehouse, where they saw, quote, officers of the Army and Navy, and champagne was being handed around. Now, this is the part in the story where I pause and wonder how it takes years for police officers to go to a brothel to gather enough evidence to prove it's a brothel. Because it is a brothel. They're not like framing her or like planting evidence. It's definitely a brothel. And it's taking them years of going there. And I'm like, what kind of investigation were you doing there, bud? What kind of evidence were you collecting? What kind of evidence were you leaving behind, friend?
Right.
So in reporting of the trial, some officers testified that they had been called to the house itself to deal with disorderly patrons. One former policeman testified that, quote, he had been to the house, but not for 3 years past. He had seen women go to the house as late as 12 o'clock at night. Witness looked upon them as lewd women, for he had been a hackman, which is a carriage driver, and had frequently hacked them. So basically, he's like, yeah, I was a cab driver and I was like, women were coming and going from this place at 12 o'clock at night. So obviously they were sex workers.
Yeah, that's how that works.
I'm sorry. That's not what we call evidence. That's called not drinking and hacking, you lunatic. Interestingly enough, much of the reported testimony didn't involve actual sex work or any reports of actual crimes. One witness reported that he saw 8 or 9 women living there and a celebration that looked like a wedding party. He claimed that on one of the visits, he saw 2 women in the parlor and later, quote, heard that these 2 were prostitutes. One of them was talking to a gentleman and the other women were to officers in the Army and Navy. So he sees these 2 women in a private residence talking. He heard through the grapevine that they were sex workers. Well, one of them was talking to a guy and the others were talking to Army and Navy officers. Is that all it takes?
Yeah.
Now, maybe there was less ambiguous testimony that wasn't printed in the paper, but the evidence that was printed hardly points to a crime. In fact, one of the witnesses, John A. Clavore, admitted that he did, quote, not see any implements of industry about the house. So he testifies like, yeah, I didn't see anything that would point to it being a whorehouse. Now, was Marianne Hall running an illegal brothel? Oh, most definitely. Did they actually have evidence of this? Probably not. And honestly, if the police officers who were testifying had evidence, they would probably be incriminating themselves as clients, which they do not want to do. So it's all kind of bullshit. Definitive evidence would require someone admitting that they were a client, and none of the lawmakers, soldiers, or elite clients were ever going to do that. Regardless, Mary Ann Hall was found guilty of keeping a bawdy house, though she was acquitted of the second charge of running a disorderly house. It's a whorehouse, but it's very well managed. She was fined $2,000, which is over $77,000 today. Now, like, this wasn't an insignificant amount of money, but remember that Mary's real estate alone is worth $700,000 in today's money.
Yeah,
so
that's crazy.
She was fine. She was fine. Despite this legal kerfuffle, Marianne Hall continued running her business successfully until her retirement in 1876. In 1883, Mary rented out part of her property to the Washington Dispensary for Women and Children, a women's health clinic run by 2 female doctors and funded by private donations. And like, I love she's doing the madam thing. Like, a lot of the madams we cover have a similar trajectory. They're poor. They start as sex workers. They beat the odds and like start successful businesses. They become rich and powerful. And then they start like getting really philanthropic and giving back to the community. And that's the part in her story where we are. And I absolutely love that. So she would enjoy the fruits of her labor for another 10 years until her death of a cerebral hemorrhage. At the time of her death, Marianne Hall's net worth was around $87,000, over $2.5 million today. But yeah, let's charge her with a fine of $77,000. Whatever. This allowed her to afford some truly epic gravestones for her family. Marianne Hall is buried in D.C.'s historic Congressional Cemetery, which I got to visit last spring, and how I found out about this Boss Babe. And I love that place, and I want to be buried there. Affectionately named D.C.'s greatest undertaking, because they also love a pun, which is the best thing in the world, because spooky bitches love puns. Congressional Cemetery is D.C.'s first cemetery and the final resting place of some really wild people. I do go into more detail about the cemetery in episode 269, when I covered Commander Alice Victorine Grillett and the gay corner that's there. Really interesting. Definitely check it out if you haven't heard already. Also, shameless plug, they have an online store which features some fucking amazing stickers, books, prints, clothing, and one of our favorite books, 111 Places in Women's History in Washington, D.C. that you must not miss, by the lovely Caitlin Calgara, founder of DC's first and only women's history tour company. Bow, 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 bow. See, even before I include my shout out to her in the beginning, I had written her in my notes. Like, nice. Caitlin, I got you. So I'm forever bitter that their gift shop was closed when I was there. Anyway, I will be back. Back to Marianne Hall's super dramatic grave. It consists of 2 monuments. The first, where her mother and one sister are buried, features a statue of an angel holding up a torch and wearing a scarf. If you want to go into my notes, I do have a photo of this. And it's like really fucking epic.
That's awesome.
It's gorgeous. The epitaph reads, "To our mother and sister, Elizabeth Hall died January 4th, 1863. Catherine Hall died June 18th, 1867. The second monument evokes a very different mood. Perched atop this monument is a woman dressed in lovely robes and sitting in contemplation. In her right hand appears to be a bouquet of flowers. Her head is resting on her left hand in thought. She's kind of like doing a thinker pose, sort of.
Yeah.
The epitaph reads, "In memoriam, our sister Mary died January 29th, 1886. Truth was her motto, her creed, charity for all. Dawn is coming." I want my grave to have something on it that kind of sounds like a thinly veiled threat. Like, dawn is coming. Like, it sounds very hopeful, but it's also like, winter is coming. Like, I just, it's slightly ominous, and I love it. So Mary's sister, Lizzie Hall, who worked with her, is also buried here and marked. Elizabeth Hall died April 18th, 1898. At the foot of the monument are 2 smaller gravestones that mark the individual graves of Elizabeth and Mary. Though Mary Ann Hall was infamous in D.C., her obituary in the Evening Star newspaper read, "With integrity unquestioned, a heart ever open to appeals of distress, a charity that was boundless. She is gone, but her memory will be kept green by many who knew her sterling worth." Now, was Mary Ann Hall really a madam with a heart of gold? Probably not.
Yeah, let's be honest.
Let's be perfectly frank.
Maybe in comparison to other madams.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean she was a monster either. Often women are evangelized after their deaths, described as espousing traditional feminine values like being charitable and sweet and pure. This is not only disingenuous, but robs women of their agency and their complexity. Like, unfortunately, we really don't get to know Mary Ann Hall as a person in this story. We get to find out the things she does. We get to find out her, like, legal troubles. We get to find out about the business she built, but we don't get to really hear from her. It's unfortunate that we don't know more about her as a person, how she became one of the most successful business owners in DC, and most of all, her client list, because I need that 1800s tea.
Yeah.
Legacy. In 1990, President George H.W. Bush, Senior Bush, signed the National Museum of the American Indian Act, which initiated the creation of the National Museum of the American Indian, on the Smithsonian Mall. Before construction could begin, investigators found remnants of a brick building's foundations along with other artifacts. Upon reviewing old maps and records, they found that the site of the future American Indian Museum was where the infamous brothel had once stood.
Oh, geez.
So where the Smithsonian for the American Indian is today is where Mary Ann Hall's brothel was. Archaeologists excavated the site, discovering shards of porcelain, hundreds of champagne corks, bones from choice cuts of meat, exotic seeds, oyster shells, women's items like bobby pins and corset fasteners, and more. So that's how they were able to figure out a lot about, like, what are people eating off of? What are they eating? You know,
Yeah.
They're able to figure out what kind of champagne they're drinking. What can be surmised is that archaeologists had found a trash pit, which confirmed reports of the lavish bawdy house. One of the researchers, Amy Ballard, said, quote, "One can only imagine some of the clientele since the brothel was in such close proximity to Capitol Hill. She was not catering to the poor soldier. They would have gone to poorer brothels in the city and even Alexandria." Again, politicians, probably some presidents, were her clients. Today, 349 Maryland Avenue Southwest is home to the National Museum of the American Indian. Infamous Madam Mary Ann Hall's summer house in Arlington, Virginia, was later owned by the Surgeon General of the Navy. Wonder if they were friends or knew each other in some capacity, and is now, this is my favorite thing in the world, Marymount University, a private Catholic university.
Wow.
The Madam Summer House is now a Catholic university.
That's so funny.
Yes, yes, yes. Mary Ann Hall was a businesswoman, an entrepreneur, and a landowner. One of the first women, if not the first, in D.C. to own land, with an asterisk, white women after colonization. But above all else, Mary was an entertainer who knew how to care for her guests. This hospitality is literally written in stone. At the entrance of the Hall family plot is a marble sign into which is carved the word, "Welcome." And that is the story of Mary Ann Hall, Madam on the Mall.
I love that.
This was one of my favorite stories to do. This is up there. This was so interesting. It was so cool. Like, I had just been to some of these places. I'm like, oh my God, I know where that is. And like looking at the old drawings, I'm like, oh yeah, and that's where this is now. And it was awesome. I really love this. And like Marianne Hall, unsung baddie.
Hell yeah.
I
love that too.
Many all ways of the word. But yeah, I wish we, I was surprised we didn't get to know more about her, especially through the legal proceedings, which is too bad. But I mean, basically nothing happened. She had to pay a fine.
Right, like that's not that
and
bad.
kept operating the brothel until she decided to retire.
That's crazy.
Which I'm like...
that's very uncommon. Usually when they went after them, they very much would get like shut down. Like a lot of times, yeah, the owners would get a slap on the wrist, but like they wouldn't be allowed to continue operating. So the fact that she does kind of show she probably had people on the back end kind of helping pull some strings.
Well, here's the thing. She was definitely doing what they were accusing her of. There's no doubt about that. But there was also no evidence that was brought forth in court, as far as we know, from the newspapers of the time. So I'm like, I wonder if they just like nailed her to make an example, to make a point.
Yeah.
And then they were kind of like, okay, yeah, but we actually didn't have any evidence. So maybe we don't do this again.
Yeah.
I'm like... Everyone in that courtroom was going there. I'm sorry. They were. But yeah, no, super, super cool little piece of DC and American history.
That's amazing. Like, I love that you went to one place and have just kind of found so many things out of it.
It helps that it's our nation's capital and that place is dripping with history, and history is constantly being made. Did you hear about the Trump Epstein BFF statues that were installed right in front of the Capitol building?
Nope.
Yeah, there were these bronze-colored statues.
Probably because I don't want to.
Yeah.
But you can tell me anyways.
So bronze-colored statues. It was like Trump and Epstein, like each of them had a leg kicked up and they were like frolicking and looking at each other. There was a plaque in the middle that had like the hands making a heart that said in honor of BFF month or something.
Jesus.
And it had quotes from Trump about like how him and Epstein are best friends. And again, it's just like he's trying so hard to separate himself from that guy, from Epstein, even though there is video evidence, there's written evidence, there's photographic evidence. He's recorded as talking about him. Like, there's no doubt that they were in cahoots with each other.
Yeah.
So those statues got removed, but it was replaced with another like bronze colored TV that was playing that footage of Trump and Epstein together. And also Epstein doing his like, or not Epstein, Trump doing his like weird
like dance thing.
His weird like
shuffle
idiot dad at the wedding where it's like, oh God, no, just sit down. No one wants to see that. But yeah, no, it's with everything that's happening in DC and everything that the residents are going through right now, they're not standing by quietly. They're pissed and they're letting everyone know. And it's just, you'll have to see it.
I don't want to see it. Sounds horrible.
So Kelly.
Yes, Emily.
Who the fuck are you whining about?
I am whining about the Italian Bride, also known as Julia Petta.
Ooh. I love a bride. I have been watching a bunch of Say Yes to the Dress on YouTube lately because I love looking at the dresses. I love the drama. I actually, before I went wedding shopping with you, I remember watching a bunch of that because I was like, here's how to not behave in a bridal salon, or like, here's how to let the bride know that's not the dress without
like being a bitch,
without destroying her self-esteem. So many people like, these are some of the closest
are so cruel
people that in your life that you're bringing to help you pick out your wedding dress. And the way people will be like, you look like a fat fucking cow.
Right. That's like, be nice.
And then they're like, I'm sorry, nice. I'm just being honest. No, you're being a dick.
Right. Like There are better ways to say that. Like, you can be honest and not a dick.
And they'll be like, no. You're not a fat fucking cow. The dress makes you look like a fat fucking cow. And it's like, that's not better.
Right. Maybe just say, like, that dress doesn't look good on you.
Yeah. Or it's like, it's not flattering you the way that I think it could. You know, there's so many. Say what you will about Midwestern passive aggression. We know how to say things without calling people
fat
fucking cow. Like, it's absolutely insane.
And I appreciate that.
Yep. All right, let's hear about the Italian bride and all of her friends who told her she looked like a fat fucking cow in her dress, and that's why she became spooky and did awful things, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe not. So I'm going to set the scene a little. Imagine that you're driving, squinting through the windshield on a foggy night at the road in front of you. Yes. The sun is dipping below the horizon, and Chicago is cast in a midnight blue gloom around you.
I do love Chicago.
There's a steady rain pouring down and the night is dark. You drive along Harrison Street and there's a cemetery coming up on your right.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Big fan of Chicago cemeteries.
Right, exactly. As you pass the north entrance of the cemetery, you make out someone walking alongside the road up ahead.
Hot.
It looks like a woman wearing a white dress. I mean, there's weird people in Chicago, but like this is even more weird. It is pouring rain. The sun has gone down, and there's just this woman wearing a wedding dress, walking through a muddy gravel alongside the road, nonchalant as all fuck.
I do love that she's like, only God can judge me right now.
Exactly.
She's like, fuck you, keep moving, I'm fine.
As you drive past the woman, she stares straight ahead, unhindered by the rain, by the darkness, and apparently unbothered by the traffic passing just a few feet next to her. While you're confused, you get this feeling about her. There's just something not quite right. And a small voice in the back of your head whispers, "Don't stop. Don't ask her if she needs help. Just keep going." And you do. You keep going, though you kind of glance back in the rearview mirror. You can't really make out her face, but she doesn't veer from the path. She just continues walking straight, staring straight ahead.
You go, queen. That's also how I walk in public. I keep my head up. I don't make eye contact with anyone around me. I'm like, this is just a woman existing in the world.
On a rainy night, I might be looking at the ground. Especially because it doesn't sound like there's a sidewalk.
Yeah, I get that. But again, this just sounds like a woman existing in the world, trying to stay safe by not making eye contact with strangers. And I'm loving it for her.
In the car? Well, this was no ordinary woman. This is an encounter other people have experienced. It is actually one of Chicago's most famous legends. So it's not well known to me, but other people may know it. But it is the Italian bride. It's a very specific cemetery that this happens outside of. It is the one she is buried in.
Okay.
It's also the cemetery where like Al Capone and a bunch of other famous people are buried.
I want to go to there.
So yes, we will have to go to there.
What cemetery is it?
It is. I talk about it later. Hold on. Let me scroll to the end of my notes.
Is it Resurrection Cemetery?
No.
Okay, because there's another famous cemetery in Chicago that has a similar ghost, but her name is Resurrection Mary. And she's not a bride.
Okay. Yeah, no. This one is a bride.
I love how Chicago has all these like haunted cemeteries and like spooky roadside ghosts.
I have to find it in my notes because apparently it's not at the end. It's somewhere in the middle.
Well, you don't have to tell me. I was just wondering if it was the one I was thinking of. So we're fine. We're fine.
Okay. So throw your minds back. None of us will remember this because we weren't born. We're turning back the clock to when this individual was not a ghost. It's Chicago, 1921. Prohibition is in full swing. Flappers are scandalizing society with showing their knees, and women finally got the right to vote. So cheers for that, at least. While the jazz age is roaring, tragedy is striking a young Italian immigrant woman named Giulia Piccola Petta.
Oh, I love that name.
So originally born in 1891 in Italy, Giulia immigrated to Chicago with her mother, Philomena, 7 years prior to 1921. She was 22 years old at the time. Her older brother Joseph had emigrated much earlier and had set up shop with her other brother Henry, who had joined him later. And they actually designed and made women's clothes and were pretty successful at it.
I love that.
Her older sister Rosalie also lived with them. So basically the three older siblings had already immigrated, and then mom and youngest sibling Julia immigrated later.
Yes.
So obviously they all moved in with Joseph and Henry because, like I said, they had the clothing business. They were doing pretty well for themselves. They had room for the family. And Julia seemed pretty content after she immigrated. Like, they lived in like kind of the suburb that was like Little Italy, basically.
Little Italy, yeah.
So she was surrounded by family. She was surrounded by people that not only spoke her native Italian, but like practiced the same customs and culture. And so like there was a sense of familiarity.
Well, that was also very common. Not only would communities form, like immigrant communities form, like, okay, that's why we have Little Italy and Chinatown, Japantown, and Little Poland and all this stuff. But also there would be family members that would go ahead, establish themselves, and then bring more family members. So she's coming to an already established household and community. She's not having to start entirely from scratch, because you said her brothers went before her, right? And then she and her mother came?
Yeah, it was two older brother. Like, the oldest went first, and then the second oldest, and then her older sister also went. And then it was just mom and youngest sibling, like Julia.
Yeah, but when I'm saying, like, she's going there to be with family,
Exactly.
you know, we hear this so many times, like, there's an immigrant child, and they go to this new country all by themselves. They don't speak the language.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
They're sending money home. A lot of women in the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire were in that situation. But like, this sounds like a really awesome situation. And I don't see how it could go horribly wrong.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
Kelly's like, well, let me tell you how it goes horribly wrong.
There. So in her neighborhood, she would meet a nice man named Matthew Petta, who was also originally from Italy, had moved here and worked at the local shoe factory. The two fell in love and decided to marry. Julia's only worry was how her mother would react. So Philomena, her mother, was known to be a formidable woman, was how they described it. Her husband, Gaetano, had died in Italy like prior to them immigrating. And in the aftermath, Philomena had become kind of angry and bitter, but she had also kind of filled the void left by her husband's death by becoming overly involved in her children's lives.
Isn't that just being a mother?
Probably.
I was going to say Italian mother, but I was like, I feel like every culture has the overbearing mother.
Right. It's not every mother, but they all have them.
There's the Italian mother, the Jewish mother, the Catholic mother, the Polish mother, it's like,
yep.
And now we just call them boy moms.
Right. Well, and Philomena was very much like that. She kind of used her children as an emotional crutch, and it was probably not healthy, and seemed to like become very resentful of anyone who would intrude on her relationship and her family, including spouses.
Oh, so healthy.
Julia and Philomena were really close, though. Obviously, like, she had been the last child left and all of that stuff. So Julia, hoped that like the relationship she had with her mother would kind of earn her some goodwill toward Matthew.
Yeah, well, and she's the youngest daughter. There's she's
not that young, but yes,
but
like,
she's the baby.
Youngest.
She's the baby of the family, and there's
she was the only one there. Like when when her dad died, because everyone else had already left.
I'm sure she was the caretaker for her mother in a lot of ways.
So, Julia chose to go ahead with the marriage anyways, and on June 1920, at 29 years old, she married a man named Matthew Petta, became a housewife. And honestly, there really is nothing scandalous here. There's no wild affairs, no weird politics, no pirate ships, no ghosts, nothing sketchy at all.
She doesn't predict his death and then he magically dies like that other Chicago lady. She was Polish though.
This is just a young family who deserves a happy life.
All right. I'm loving this.
Julia would become pregnant shortly after the wedding. And she would go on to have complications with the birth. And on March 17th, 1921, 70 years minus 1 day to my birthday.
Shut up.
Julia died while giving birth to her son.
Oh, fuck?
Filippo, and he in turn was a stillborn baby.
Oh, damn it.
So one thing I learned from this story is there is apparently an Italian tradition. I don't know if it's still a standing tradition, but back then there was an Italian tradition that when you die in childbirth, that like makes you a martyr. And so because you're viewed as a martyr while dying in childbirth, that means you're buried in white to like represent like your like martyrdom status.
At least you get something for dying in childbirth. I mean, God, everyone was dying from childbirth. It sucks that her baby was still that.
Yeah.
Because you hear these stories and like the baby will be okay and the mother dies. And don't get me wrong, that's incredibly sad. But when both of them die, it's like
even more tragic.
We don't even have like nothing.
Something exactly. Nothing came out of it.
Nothing
Except
good
death.
came out from this. Everyone died.
So due to it being only about a year after her wedding, Julia was born in her wedding dress because it was a white dress, and white is
buried?
the martyr's color. Yes.
Okay.
And they buried her with her son tucked into her arms,
Oh.
and they were buried together in a single coffin at the Mount Carmel Cemetery.
There
you go. That's the cemetery.
Mount Carmel. I am devastated. That is so sad.
And this is where our story really begins. So the beginning of our story is the end of other people's stories, because this is
The
where things
prologue
get
was
a little
that
bit
she died in
spooky.
childbirth.
Yep.
Okay, great. We haven't even started the story yet, and
Nope,
I'm
not
already
really. Yep.
ruined. Thank you.
You're welcome. So not long after Julia's death, her mother Philomena started having vivid dreams.
No.
Not even dreams, nightmares,
No.
really. Every night, Philomena said, that Julia would appear to her and beg her, "Mama, I'm still alive. Please dig me out."
No. Stop.
And I do have to say, like, if I had children and they died, honestly, if I knew someone, if I was close enough to anyone that they died and I'm having dreams about them where they say that, like, they're buried alive, like, I'm doing some supernatural, I will dig your fucking grave up in the middle of the night, Zombieland shit.
I'm just going to say right now, if you are someone who is having that dream,
I might also seek professional
and
help.
you go and like dig that person up,
You're going to jail, first of all.
well, I'm just saying you can play up the mental breakdown aspect of it, because no one who is okay is doing that.
Right, like, you're not going to go to jail. Like, you're
Here's
going
the
to get
thing.
in trouble, but you're going to go to a psych hospital.
Best case scenario, you save a life. Worst case scenario, you
Right.
get some really good meds.
And I will say, like, this is not Victorian when people actually did get buried alive times.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is
This
the
is
1920s.
They had kind of figured out when people were actually dead.
So Philomena did not, like, immediately go and be like, I'm going to go dig up my daughter's grave. But she was like, I am going to, like, figure this out. So she fought both the law and mostly the Catholic Church, it sounded like, for 6 years to get permission to exhume Julia's body.
Well, I'm sorry, at that point, it feels a little...
Oh, yeah, exactly. Like, if she was alive... But I think it was probably, like, just, like, the needing to get peace. But, like, apparently during this whole time, she was still having vivid dreams. But think about that. This woman who had just lost, like, her youngest child and grandchild had to go to court, had to, like, write letters to the Pope and stuff and plead her case and basically look at a judge and go, "Yes, Your Honor, I need to dig up my daughter because she's haunting me."
I mean, here's the thing.
Which is amazing, though.
Okay, worst case scenario, in that case, you find out that, yes, she was buried alive and it was
And
too
now
late.
she's dead.
But best case, okay, you have met some kind of psychological need in this poor woman where now she will hopefully not
Right.
be haunted or
Exactly.
traumatized by this. It's like, just dig her up. It's not that
the cost
hard.
is not that expensive.
Yeah. This is also the 1920s. People were like pumping cocaine in their because they had ghosts in their blood.
Yeah, it's
Calm
fine.
down. Calm down.
But yeah, she fought for 6 years, and finally in 1927, both the courts and the Catholic Church agreed to let Julia's body be exhumed.
Wow.
So that's what they did. They unburied Julia.
I hate this.
And here's the wild part.
No, I hate this.
While her coffin had decayed and fallen apart, and even her dress was starting to decay, Julia's body was perfectly preserved. Like, no rot, not a skeleton, no like flesh falling out, no bugs, nothing. She looked like she had died yesterday. This is like snow fucking white bullshit.
No.
Her wedding dress was still white. Like I said, it was decaying at places, but like it was mostly fine. Her skin was smooth and she looked peaceful. And this is kind of where she gets that creepy nickname of the Italian bride.
Then why? Okay, if she's so peaceful, why is she harassing her mom?
So once she was dug up, we'll get to that. Naturally, like people lost their fucking minds.
I would.
6 years.
I would.
So there were various rumors, obviously. There was, Julia is a saint, and that's why her body didn't decompose. She's cursed. She's a vampire. Some is like, it's a sign from God. Others was like, this definitely does mean she was buried alive. I'm like, honestly, this is honest for me, proof against her being buried alive, but sure.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, now we can kind of look back and be like, no, like, there is some science behind it. It's super rare. But like certain soils, if the coffin is airtight, there's different embalming techniques. And basically, like, if everything lines up just right, it can happen that basically you just decompose significantly slower. It's happened like Abraham Lincoln. There's other examples of it throughout history.
Okay.
But it is incredibly uncommon.
See, this is
especially
why...
like this is like a well-used cemetery, so it's like kind of surprising that like this would happen.
Well, and the other thing is this is a working class immigrant family. It's not like they have access to the fanciest coffin on the market.
Yeah.
Like the idea that, the coffin was just like really, really good. It's like probably not, especially because at this point you said the coffin had deteriorated.
Exactly. It's crazy.
Please.
Plus, you know what? Chemistry does not make for good ghost stories.
Kelly, please tell me there are pics.
There's a picture.
Shut
it's in
the
my notes.
fuck up. Are you kidding me? Because I'm like,
that's literally like the next paragraph.
Pics or it didn't happen.
It's on the top of page 4 of my notes.
Okay.
So adding fuel to the fire, Philomena had photographs taken of Julia's. So what this is known as, especially when people are trying to like make her a saint, it's called like an incorruptible or an incorrigible body.
Yeah.
Meaning like she doesn't deteriorate. So yeah,
I think Mother Teresa, they said she
something.
has. Isn't Lenin still like super preserved?
I don't know. I think I think Lincoln still is like it's or he was at like at some point.
Yeah, but it's this kind of thing is real big with us Catholics.
Exactly. So
we love a non-decaying body.
Exactly.
We love a body that defies God and
which
nature.
Is funny. But so yeah, like I said, there are actual photos, and to me, like it is haunting and strangely beautiful because it looks like this was taken at her funeral, not after she was dug up. But if you like look at the coffin, you can see like the decay, you can see the open grave behind her, like you can see there's like a little even dirt on like the lid, like,
but like the inside, like, okay, this is gonna sound really fucked up, that look cozy.
I know it does, like,
oh my god, she looks like she's having the world's best fucking nap.
Exactly.
But you're right. And it really strikes me. Like, I know you said she was like in her early 20s. She looks like I think she was like 30
when she died.
Okay, she looks so young.
Also,
and she's kind
either
of
the baby decayed or they took her out of the arms for the photo. Because I'm like, there is no baby in this photo. I just realized that.
That was going to be my question
or
as well.
I guess it could be like, because you can't really see her right arm. So I guess it could be tucked in like right here under her like right armpit.
You think that they would have both of her hands crossed over herself. But right now it's her left arm that's like over her torso. You can't see her right arm.
Yeah, so maybe the baby's like right here.
Like even her hair looks fantastic.
I know. When the first time, like, I spent way too long looking at this photo because I'm like, is she wearing a bonnet or does like is it just, but I suppose like her brothers were like women's fashion designers. So I wonder if like maybe they could afford like a plusher coffin, but yeah, basically it's crazy. It doesn't look like she's been dead for 6 years.
She looks so chill. She's almost got like a little bit of a smile. Like, she looks very peaceful.
I told you.
What the fuck?
Apparently those present at her exhumation, apparently one of them like touched her because of course.
You know, there's something about people poking dead bodies.
Soft, and like it still looked like she had like rosiness in her cheeks, and I'm like, that's probably just makeup. Like that's the thing they do when you die. They put makeup on you.
They do. And
no one wants to look at you without it.
And I will say, the makeup that they have to do to make a dead person look alive, it's like theater makeup. Like it's entirely too
like
much.
if you look close enough, you can like see it.
I went to
that's why I don't like open coffins. I've been to several funerals with open coffins, and a lot of times, like even if it's someone I know and hold dear, I can't do it because I'm like, it freaks me out because I'm like, you don't look like you.
I would say especially if it's someone that you knew well. So the only open coffin funerals I've been to have been for people that I didn't really know. Like there was a friend's,
you're lucky.
There was a friend's dad, and actually it was me and a friend. We go to this church because our we had some friends on the swim team and their father passed away from cancer. It was
so sad.
Like he beat it.
Yeah,
it came back. It was so fucking awful. And we're like in high school. We're young, we're dumb, and this adult gestures us down this hallway. It's like, oh, if you'd like to pay your respects, you can go down here.
And of course you're like, sure. I don't know. Listen to the adult. We don't know what's going on.
Well, we get halfway down the hall and we realize at the end of the hall
is the coffin.
Is the open coffin. But it was kind of a horseshoe kind of thing. So you go down one side of the hall, there's the butt of the hall, and then you come out the other side.
Okay.
So we knew if we turned back, everyone was going to know we didn't go all the way through. So we went and we looked and we were kind of like, I think that was both of our first experiences seeing a dead person.
Traumatic.
I wasn't super traumatized. It was very odd. It was very uncanny valley because it's like,
I'm not a fan of it.
And then I went to my ex's grandmother's funeral, and it was actually kind of cute because people were, I guess she always had gum on her, so people were slipping gum into her casket.
Okay,
that
is really cute.
I'm not going to participate,
but it's cute
and like touch things. But yeah. But it was very similar. It was kind of uncanny valley.
Yeah, I've been to
like there's something not
far
right
too many
here.
funerals, and like I just
most of the ones I've been to are cremations. I'm really glad that my friend's funeral is not open casket. I couldn't have done that. That would have been really fucked up.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Like I think my grandpa was cremated. But I don't remember. But I've seen enough that I'm like, ugh.
And maybe it's just because it's like a 1920s era photo. This doesn't look uncanny valley. This looks like a posed photo. She looks like she's alive. It looks like a posed photo.
Yeah.
Wow.
So after the exhumation, she was reburied, obviously, like because she wasn't alive.
Despite all appearances.
And Philomena did something I think is a little weird, but she decided to build a life-size statue of her daughter in her wedding dress on top of the grave, and then put photos of the body on the headstone.
Okay. You had me until the photos of the body on the head. I'm like, you know what? We all grieve in our own. Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, there's a line. I mean, like this woman was obviously going through something, and it feels like too much to be a coincidence that she's having these dreams, these nightmares for 6 years, and her daughter just happens to be perfectly preserved.
Like, that's so weird.
There's something weird about that.
So obviously the story of the Italian bride doesn't end with that weirdness because like I've said, people have seen her walking on the side of the road at night as they drive past the cemetery.
Let this bitch rest. She's been through so much.
There has also been other reports of like a ghostly figure of a woman in white wandering around like in the cemetery as well, near her grave. it's also like her grave is pretty close to that north entrance of the cemetery, so it kind of makes sense. And then there's actually like one story or a family story that claims that one time when they were at the cemetery, like visiting family relatives, a small boy was left behind, which I was like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Okay.
But when they turned around to go get him, he was like being led to the entrance by a woman in white. Like they were like, you know, she was like holding hands with him and like leading him back. And basically she brought him back to his family. And then like when they turned back around, she was gone.
She would have been such a good mom.
So obviously, yeah, it is kind of like weird history. And like we do know that most of it, like we don't know about like the dreams and stuff, but like we know Julia was real. We know she got married. We know that she died in childbirth. Like for a lot of it, like this is real.
We know she was
exhumed.
We know
she was really well preserved.
Yeah.
So like we know most of this is true, which is interesting.
It's funny because the ghost story is like the least interesting aspect of her story.
Which is why I covered it, because I was like, ooh, spooky go, oh my God.
You're like, holy fucking shit.
The main question here is like, why? Both, like, there's multiple whys, but like the two big ones that I was asking is like, why was like Philomena having the nightmares, but also like so desperate to get her daughter exhumed? And then like, why was she perfectly preserved? Which the answer to that one is probably just chemistry, but we'll get into it a little bit more. So first, Philomena and that whole story. So the reason I like went so much into detail prior to Julia's death is to give us a little background on Philomena's character, because there are some people that are just like, she probably made it all up. Because people like, so one of the theories is that Philomena made up like that she did want to exhume her daughter and stuff, but that she made up the nightmares to garner sympathy.
To plead her case.
Because Matthew, the husband, remember him?
The widower.
Yep. So he got married a few years after Julia died. Not unexpected.
Your
He's
wife
moving
died.
on with his life.
I'm glad he's able to continue living.
Yep. Philomena, not a fan of that. Like, wasn't a fan of him to begin with, but like was not a fan that he had continued living his life. And one big indicator that she was not a fan of this is that on that headstone that Philomena got.
On Julia's headstone.
Yep, on Julia's headstone. It never lists her married name. Not once. It only uses her birth name. They don't even list her child.
Oh.
But her mom's name is on there twice.
Jesus fucking Christ. She's a pageant mom. That's the level of obsession and narcissism that she has. She's one of those psycho pageant moms that is like putting flippers in her kid's mouth and like making her dance to Afternoon Delight. And no. I mean,
that's the other thought of what people think might have happened as well, is that she did it for attention and fame. And that's why, like, even after it was over, instead of just like quietly reburying her daughter, she was like, no, I'm going to make a fucking monument of it. I'm going to put her picture on there. Like everyone, like, you know, or to get money.
Her daughter's death was really her big break.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
I mean, and then the third option for like why is that she had like, a goddamn fucking mental breakdown. My guess is it's probably some combination of all three, especially like, yes, with the reaction, especially like, had it just been like the giant statue, I probably would have been like, no, you know, I think it's just a grieving mom and she wants a way to remember her daughter. But it's like all those other little things that it's like, he just happened to get remarried. Like, I think it was like 5 years after she died. So it was like right as she was like kind of starting to more hardly petition to get her daughter exhumed. And so it's like the timeline is weird.
Okay.
And then, the fact that like she didn't put her daughter's married name, doesn't mention the child, and puts her own name on the gravestone twice.
That is so, that
Like
part
normally
is really
no
fucking
one
weird.
else's name is on the gravestone unless there's someone else buried in that grave.
Yeah, no, it's really weird that they didn't include the child.
Yeah.
It's super weird her name is on there twice,
Yeah.
but the child's name isn't.
Like part of me wonders like if because like I said, the child's not in that photo. There is like I said, you can't see her right arm, so there's a chance that the child is like tucked to her right side. But I'm like, did her mom just like take the kid out of the casket? Although like also it would have been a very small baby probably.
yes.
So
And
that's why I'm saying I wonder if it's like just tucked right there and maybe the
honestly,
baby decayed.
I was going to say, honestly, after 6 years, you think that the two bodies would be decaying in a similar way, but an adult and a still.
Exactly. It's very different.
Yeah.
Like the amount of like stuff they put in you to like, yeah, anyways.
So my general theory, I think the mom definitely has some like overbearing and narcissistic tendencies. And I think those guided.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
And influenced her behavior.
I think she also had a mental break.
I think also though she was going through something.
Yep.
Because it's so weird to me that she would fight so hard to get her daughter exhumed, and then she just happens to be one of these incredibly rare cases of this like perfect preservation.
I don't know how that happened. Like that's one of those things that it's like
that's the part that feels weird to me and feels like maybe a little spiritual. But the mom like really ramping up when the widower got married again and putting her name on the grave. I'm like, you know what? Weird things can happen to narcissistic people who then react to them in like shitty ways.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
it's weird.
Wow.
It's weird.
Well, it's kind of
not
sad.
like I said, not uncommon.
No, but it's kind of sad that, you know, Julia gets a bit lost. Like she's really overshadowed by her mom. And her mom really like,
yeah.
Like there's, I was talking about how I like watched Say Yes to the Dress. And there's this big thing about like people upstaging the bride when they're like taking or trying on their dresses and stuff. Cause like sometimes a mom will literally start trying on wedding dresses at the same appointment, which is just
which is super weird.
I'm like, so you're a bad mother. Congratulations. She feels like that kind of woman where she's like upstaging her own daughter's death.
Yeah.
And her death was incredibly sad and tragic. Her body being preserved was incredibly unique and special, and her mother made it about her. So again, I think there's something unique going on here, whether it's spiritual or chemical. But again, because of who she is as a person, is making it all about her.
Yeah.
Because that's just who she is, and that's just what she does.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate.
So obviously, like, this is kind of where legend takes over, because like descendants of one of Julia's brothers did apparently grow up hearing that Philomena did in fact have nightmares that led her to demand her daughter's grave to be open. But what they actually were, obviously, like, there's no records of it.
You can't prove you had a nightmare either.
Exactly. Like, but it is like a family thing, and
according to family lore.
Exactly. Like, we just don't know. And like some people were like, oh, well, maybe she like wanted to move the body, but they were interred back into the exact same plot that they were buried in the first one. So like, that's not necessarily that weird. But yeah, like I said, as for like the why of the preservation, they obviously like don't know for sure, because they didn't take apart her body or
it's
anything.
The 1920s. They're not doing chemical testing.
No, exactly. But like in 1921, embalming fluids had already been around for decades. And with proper embalming, like I said, if they have a really good coffin, decay happens a lot slower. And like I said, this is something that has happened before. And not just like in recent history either.
Yeah.
Like this has gone back, like Lincoln.
Yeah.
Obviously, he was buried a long time ago. So it's not uncommon, but it's rare. But then, of course, yeah, you have like all the Christians that are like, oh my God, she's a saint. And it's like, Okay.
I wonder if her daughter dying in childbirth and achieving that martyrdom gave Philomena any extra status or special treatment.
Maybe. I don't know. I didn't read about
because
that.
like obviously
I didn't look into Philomena. I only looked into Julia.
I bet there's not a lot in Philomena. But what I'm wondering is like she probably got a lot of sympathy and a lot of attention, then especially with her daughter dying in such an honorable way. So I would be so curious to look more closely at the timeline. Like, okay, did she start having these nightmares?
Yeah, like,
maybe
when was
when
the
that
first time she said it? Yeah.
well, like when that attention was waning, or
that's a good idea. Yeah, I don't know.
when did she first report having these nightmares? Was it really shortly after the death and she was fighting for 6 years, or was it
exactly
when the widower started to
we don't know.
date someone?
But I think it is interesting because it is one of those things that there's so many questions, mainly the like, why was her body so well preserved, but like there's more than just that.
It's funny because I'm totally willing to accept that nature is insane. I'm like, I want to know like the family dynamics and like going on here. I also
want to know how her brothers and her sister felt about their mom, like depending on like the timeline, but like even if it was only a year that she campaigned, like, yeah, I feel like if that was my sibling, I would be like, Mom, you're not okay. Like, stop it. Like,
right.
You know,
but how
so,
do
like,
you,
I wonder about that.
In an Italian family, how do you tell your mother that to shut up? You don't. My question is also, why is she haunting? It sounds like obviously dying in childbirth.
But we also don't know.
Is awful.
That's just what Philomena is saying.
Well, no. But there's this idea that there are sightings of her ghost. Yeah. And here's my personal headcanon. Assuming there is a haunting occurring, she's like, my mother tried to upstage my whole fucking death. I'm going to be the one that's remembered. Motherfuckers. Like, this is her taking it back. She's like
that.
Y'all see me? Yeah. Fuck you, Mom.
Yeah. Well, I think it's hard because like there is a lot of like Lady in White style stuff, and like they're all so different,
right?
And for like different reasons. So like I wrote a little like, why does this matter? At the very end.
Other than this being like a really curious case.
Yeah, it's like weird as fuck. So why does Julia's story matter? Besides telling me that I really hope my mom doesn't dream about me in this way after I die.
Oh my God.
I mean, I also hope that maybe she doesn't outlive me, because that's also super tragic.
I was gonna say, like, not to be savage, I hope my mother dies before me, because no parent should have to bury their child.
Yeah. So first, this story is about loss and grief, both Julia's and Philomena's. And Philomena couldn't let go, whether through dreams, superstition, sheer stubbornness, narcissist, whatever it was. And she turned her daughter's death into a story people are still talking about. Like I said, like this, like if you go to Chicago, this is like on a lot of their ghost tours. Second,
oh my God, can we do a Chicago ghost tour?
I mean, we're close enough. We could definitely.
We can take the train.
Exactly.
I stayed at a haunted hotel.
Make a little, like, thing of it.
A woman threw her children out of a window.
Wow.
And then jumped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. She was probably not okay.
She was absolutely not. She was fleeing the Nazis. So, you know, again, Nazis ruin everything.
So second, it's about women and how myth making around women works. Men die and they're talked about as presidents, generals, gangsters, pirate. Like, they get a good narrative, but it's always something like heroic and like
powerful.
Yeah. Women die, particularly when young women die, and we turn them into ghost brides or virginal saints or tragic cautionary tales or, you know, don't get into cars with strange men. It's always sad and tragic, and like they're not that their victimhood shouldn't be played up in certain circumstances, but like even if they weren't a victim, like dying in childbirth is horrible, but it's a very natural thing. It's played up as kind of lesser in a way.
It almost feels it's used as a cautionary tale or an inevitability.
Right.
Men died and it's like, oh man, we lost a really cool person. Like, holy shit, that sucks. But women, it's like, it's another dead woman.
Exactly.
We're very familiar with those. And if they were killed, if they died in a violent or tragic way, then it's a cautionary tale,
right,
for the rest of us.
Exactly.
If she dies in childbirth, like she's doing,
then she's just a ghost bride.
Well,
or,
she's doing the
most
one
feminine thing you can do.
that she is supposed to do as a woman, which is give birth. And she paid the ultimate price for attempting that. Mm-hmm. And she's venerated. She's seen as saintly almost. What does that tell us about a woman's role?
Exactly.
Yes, it is actually, you could totally die in childbirth. It was very common at the time. It's actually becoming more common now in the United States.
I know, it's horrible.
But that's a good thing. That's a good thing because you're not going to decay and God's going to smile down on you and you're basically
you're gonna be a martyr. Yeah.
It's
like, no.
The weird message that sends. It's like, yes, it's tragic, but also there's a beauty in the tragedy instead of her and the baby fucking died and everyone lost.
It's horrible.
Everyone lost and there was no point.
But that's exactly it. Julia Petta isn't just a body in a wedding dress that didn't decay. She was a real woman, a young mother, an immigrant trying to make a life with her family in America. And history remembers her more for her death and her corpse than for her life. Also, this is literally just a reminder that mothers are the ultimate agents of chaos.
Yes. But anyone who has a mother-in-law knows this.
If you ever go to Chicago, Julia is among the top, most famous ghost stories, and good for her. I really hope that the tours that tell her story don't only call her the Italian bride and use her name, because she you know what, if she's out here hanging out to take her own story back, she deserves to be called Julia Petta, not just the Italian bride.
Okay, but are you going to be mad if I name part of the episode title?
No.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I'm like, but I'm definitely going to put the episode title is going to be Madame on the Mall and the Italian bride.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But of course, you're telling her whole story. So what you were talking about, the way that women's deaths are framed and ghost stories are told, especially about women, it reminded me of one of my favorite books, which I might actually reread for spooky season, A Haunted History of Invisible Women, True Stories of America's Ghosts. It's by Leanna Renee Heber and Andrea Janes. And it's really good. So it kind of goes through the genres of different women ghosts, like dark academia, with ladies in white, women behaving badly, and what the stories of these women's lives, and then how we tell their deaths, what they tell us about the way we view women.
Wow.
And it's super good. So if you're into spooky shit, but also want to learn, I highly recommend. Seriously, I read it. I think I read it last year.
Oh,
last October. I might actually reread it again because it was super good. And for my Herstory Happening, I was going to try to do something similar, where I was going to go through genres of ghosts, but it was so overwhelming. And this is a big book.
Yeah,
they really did their research. So
that's awesome. So I did want to just very briefly talk about Mount Carmel Cemetery.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier. So it's a Catholic cemetery. It's technically located in a suburb of Chicago. So it's in Hillside, Illinois, but it's in the Chicago area. But what's interesting about it is there are two kind of major sections, and Julia doesn't really fall into either of them, which I find very interesting. So they have literally an entire giant mausoleum for bishops. So there's a lot of Catholic bishops that are buried there. I don't recognize it, and cardinals and stuff like that. Really intense people. And then there's Julia. But then there's also the entire Capone family, including Al Capone.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Antonio Lombardo is buried there. There's literally like an entire, like it's literally like notable burials. Half of them are the cardinals. Julia's on that list. And then they have a separate section on the Wikipedia about the organized crime people that are buried there. So it's like, there's the cardinals and there's the organized crime people.
That is fucking hilarious. Also, we just got to go to Alcatraz where we learned all about Al Capone and his descent into syphilitic madness.
Super funny because I had like just finished my notes like 2 days before we went to Alcatraz, and I was just like in my mind, I'm like, oh my God.
I just looked up the grave of Julia Petta.
Like the statue, beautiful.
Okay, here's what it reads. So
oh yeah,
it's the weird statue. It's standing on a pedestal, and the first line in large text reads Philomena Bucola. So it's the mother's name first. She's the headline.
That's the backside.
Oh,
at least when I was reading about it, because there's like a front and a back.
Facing, but that's the direction she's facing.
I mean, when I look at the grave, it just says Bucola. It doesn't say Philomena.
Well, the very bottom says Bucola. But the pedestal, there's like a small...
yeah, there's like the pedestal.
It's almost like a cake tier thing.
Okay, you're right.
So it says, Philomena Bucola, remembrance of my beloved daughter, Julia.
29 years.
Age 29 years. Doesn't even have her last name. And then on that pedestal, there is a photo of her in her wedding dress, which the statue mimics. Below that is a larger podium that has
the picture of her dead body.
Her in the casket. And it just says Bucola. And then it looks like it says something above that.
Well, and it does say something else on the back. I'm trying to find it because I did have it written down.
Again, probably has her mother's name.
Yeah, because it's on there twice.
Her own mother is headlining on her daughter's grave. I love my mom. She is an incredible person. If she stole my death spotlight, I would be pissed. Like, that's so shitty.
That's funny.
The real villain is overbearing mothers. That being said, I know we're really dragging Philomena. She did lose her daughter in a tragic way. She is entitled to her grief and the interesting ways that grief manifests.
On the back, it says in Italian, starts with her mother's name again. Philomena Bucola, I offer this gift to my dear daughter. So basically, she basically the front is in English and says remembrance of like Philomena Bucola, remembrance of my beloved daughter, Julia, age 29. Yep. And then the back in Italian says basically the same thing. Philomena Bucola, I offer this gift to my dear daughter, Julia, age 29 years.
I'm just saying, if it's ambiguous who the statue on the grave is actually of, you've done something wrong.
It is like a beautiful grave, though. Like,
no, it is.
And that's why I'm saying, like, it would have, like, if she had just stopped at putting the statue of her daughter, I would have been more okay with it.
Like, if I didn't know the backstory, I'd be like, so is the statue of Philomena or Julia? I can't fucking tell because Philomena is all over this thing.
Well, and it mentions that, like, the other picture is, like, from her wedding day, but I couldn't find if it's her and her husband or if it's just of her. I assume it's just of her. I just found a picture
on
of it.
The grave. It looks like it's just of her holding her bouquet.
Yeah. I just think it's like interesting because like literally she's known as the Italian bride, but they don't even use her married name.
And it's also so sad. Like she was
it's also
finally
known as the first bride's grave, which I'm like, what?
She was finally striking out on her own and making a life for herself separate from her mother. And even in death, she really couldn't get out from under her mom's thumb.
Yeah.
Julia, you were your own person. You were amazing. I'm sorry you died.
Yep.
From childbirth. That fucking sucks.
And you know what?
You would have been a great mom.
You deserve to take back your story. So here,
fucking
cheers
Julia.
Again to Julia.
Cheers to goddamn Julia Bucola Petta.
This
is a terrible. Hold on. There we go. Plastic glasses. They don't make for good clinks.
No, I'm sorry.
I think she would have liked this wine, though.
Mm-hmm.
Would put some color in her cheeks.
Apparently, she still had that.
Apparently, she doesn't need it.
And
is it weird that I'm like
Filippo, who also doesn't get mentioned?
See, Claro que sí.
I also found it very freaky that it was
Jin Jin.
almost exactly 70 years before I was born. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Anytime I run into something that's within spitting distance of my birthday, I'm always like, oh my God, it's a supernatural connection.
Hell yeah.
I don't care. It is. It just is. So Kelly, especially in the spooky season, should we read from the book of Being Brave?
I mean, it sounds weird, but sure.
Yeah.
At least today we.
Well, I mean, spooky season is when you need to be brave, because being brave is not being unafraid. It's confronting your fears.
We are on the second section.
Oh, good for us.
Brave enough to believe in Ruby Rubin.
Love it.
She is who she says she is. I promise.
A bad bitch.
This one's a long one again. We'll do a split again.
Okay.
The fall in Scotland.
Ooh.
My other home is beautiful and crisp. The days get short in a blink, but those early afternoon hours take on a golden hue that I've never seen before.
I miss fall in Scotland.
I've never been, and I would like to go.
We need to go. That's going to be our next couples trip.
I would be down. After lunch one day in early October, I sat at the Starbucks across the street from the Eric Little Center with just my journal, my holy bibble, a peach muffin, and a soy chai. I felt totally alive.
You lost me at Starbucks. You got me back with peach muffin.
I don't that sounds delicious.
That sounds amazing. Also, the holly bibble is my new favorite. It's from Exploding Kittens.
I know.
And I love it.
It was every internal cylinder was firing, and I was the optimum Annie. I began to journal, wondering what was causing my heart to live in a perpetual state of pure, happy explosion. So I asked Ruby a question. What is it, Ruby, that makes me feel so alive? At the time, that didn't seem like a hard question, but sometimes just opening the lines of communication with Ruby allows... Oh, we didn't choose anything for HS.
Wait, what do you mean HS?
The Holy Spirit. HS. I was trying to
The
say
Holy Spirit.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, the Holy Spirit is gender neutral. It's
That's true.
non-binary.
So, just opening the lines of communication with Ruby allows the Holy Spirits to lead you to the harder places.
And we know what spirits we're talking about.
I made a list of all the things that were true of my life at that moment. I was living in Scotland. I was single. I was doing college ministry. And quietly in my heart, I heard Ruby say, "You can do college ministry anywhere." And I knew. I sat back in my chair, a little in awe, and said out loud to no one and everyone, "Oh, I'm going home. Back to Nashville."
Mistake.
So, starting with sometimes.
Okay. I'm sorry. She's like, God, why is everything so perfect? I'm like, because you're living in Scotland.
Everything is great in your life, and your thought process is, I'm going to make a major change.
I mean,
what?
You know what?
Annie, I have questions.
You do you, sis. You do you, sis. But you are living my dream at this point. Sometimes we avoid asking Ruby Rubin things because we fear what the answer will be. Oh, that's like me doing tarot. I'm always like, the cards are going to tell me something I already know and I don't want to hear, and I'm mad.
Hear it. Exactly.
Yep. Whether we're asking her why our lives feel so good, why she placed us where we are now, where she wants us to go next, or why something painful in our lives is still so painful. However, so painful. However, when it was Ruby Rubin who answers, it isn't something to be scared of. It takes bravery to ask the hard questions and listen for hard answers. But knowing that Ruby Rubin works for your good and that her answers can be trusted is a great remedy for fear. I agree with that sentiment.
Yeah.
Asking hard questions takes bravery because it's you confronting truths that you already know. There were a lot of hard questions that I was barely starting to entertain towards the end of my last relationship because I knew, but I didn't want to.
Yeah, I get that.
I didn't want to face that reality. Don't be afraid to ask Ruby Rubin the things you really want to know. You may not get the answer you expect, but you will get an answer. Maybe sometimes you won't know why. Or you don't really want to know why. Or you don't even know what you're asking or what her answer will lead you to or away from. that's
I get that. Yeah.
valid, relatable. Whatever it is, you can ask. Even if and when things are hard, you can always ask Ruby Rubin, what's your plan for me, babe? What am I supposed to be learning right now? And she will show you the answer. And those answers, my friend, they are the answers that bring peace. Ask Ruby Rubin the hard questions. And the challenge for this week is be brave. What is one question you've been afraid to bring to Ruby Rubin? Ask her the question right now out loud and listen for her answer. So much of this, I'm like, these are journaling prompts.
Yeah.
Like, you do not have to be religious to take advantage of this advice, because I'm just going to say shit gets a lot more real when you write it down. I was reading some of my old journal entries the other day from when I was in my last relationship. And the whole time I'm reading it, I'm like, girl, it's like I'm a third person reading this. I'm like, girl, get the fuck out.
Like, what are you doing?
And then seeing the date and knowing there's several years left to go. But also, you know, being able to write it down and have that reflection, like it was helpful.
It took me a while, but I got out.
It was helpful at the time. I'm pretty stubborn. I'm pretty thick. So, you know, but I got out. That's the whole point. It's never too late.
No.
And like, especially volunteering at the local DV center, you see women who are like, I mean, they're kind of in limbo.
Yeah, they're not okay.
And they're doing their best. And they're like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm like, girl, neither do I. But you did a hell of a lot more than I could ever do because you got the fuck out. Well, like, you got you and your kids out.
I always say to like clients and people that it's like a step in the direction that you want to go. It doesn't matter if it's a shuffle, if it's a leap or a baby step. If you're pointed in the right direction, it's still a step in that direction.
You sound like a really good therapist. Did you go to school for that?
Really hard.
Did you go to school for that for like 2 years?
I did.
Did you also participate in a podcast and work full time while going to school for that for 2 years?
I did. And I still have imposter syndrome.
Oh my God. I was actually talking with a coworker. They started after I had, so they're more junior than I am. It's actually been really refreshing because they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm like, first of all, you're doing great. Yeah. Like I'm seeing you become more confident in meetings and you're knowing what you're talking about and things like that. And they're like, I really needed to hear that. Like, you know, because I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, I've been here for 3 years. Like I still don't know what I'm doing. And they're like, you look like you know everything. And I'm like, because I'm really good at faking it. But also thank you for the validation because I'm also
deeply insecure.
I'm parched for validation and positive feedback. So again, it's we have these internal struggles. And sometimes I really wish the way I felt about myself was only influenced by the way other people viewed me.
I would probably have higher self-esteem.
Because my friends think I'm lovely. My friends think I'm smart. My friends think I'm cute and hardworking and all of these things that I have a hard time convincing myself of. Yeah. So if you ever have someone who's like, well, don't worry about what other people think. It's like, it's not what other people think that's fucking me up.
Right. It's what I think.
And honestly, that is the thing that you have the most control of though. Yep. And that's why building these relationships with yourself is so important. And stepping outside of yourself and really taking a critical look because it's hard to see things from within the eye of the storm.
I agree.
So.
Emily's so smart.
We got so fucking deep. Oh my God. I'm so, yeah. This is the shit where I'm like, no, I'm not smart because I literally I've been doing this for 6 years going, oh my God. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Whining About Herstory. Like us on Facebook at Whining About Herstory, Instagram at WAHPAD.
Our website is whiningaboutherstory.com where you can find a link to all of those things, a link to our merchandise, And you can find a link to our Buy Me a Coffee where you can donate $5 to sponsor a glass of wine, or $15 and we'll find a bottle that you recommend or reminds us of you. You can also spend as little as $1 a month to donate to our Patreon, and you have like 3 days left to donate to join. And we only need a few more people, like 2, to join, and I will get wasted and tell you about Greek mythology.
I'm going to get a hat. It's going to be a cute hat. I'm going to put things.
I'm going to put things in the hat because I need to know that I actually know them.
Kelly, you're going to designate the list of things in the hat. I'm going to put them in there. I'm going to mix them up. You're going to pull them out of a hat and then just as a fucking drunk slob, talk about them. No notes, no net.
Yeah, just like off the cuff.
Drunken
like, this is
debauchery
what I remember.
for our patrons. Seriously, you can get this for as little as $1 a month. And honestly, if we make this goal, I'm next on the chopping block, guys. I'm on deck.
Yeah.
Shit's gonna get real weird, okay?
And it's gonna be so much fun.
Like, Kelly is a stable individual. I am a fucking trash fire.
Stable.
Kelly's a stable, semi-stable individual. I'm a fucking trash fire. Get me super drunk talking about my latest hyperfixation. It gonna get weird.
Yeah.
Also raise 5 stars wherever you listen because it gives us the warm fuzzies and pisses off all the right people. They know who they are. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Whining About Herstory. I'm Emily.
I'm Kelly.
Have an empowered day, you spooky motherfuckers! Woo! Bye!
Bye!
Stay spooky.
Hell yeah.
And get away from your overbearing mom, because she might be a narcissist who overshines your death. Bam! Someone needs to push the button, because I'm not close.